And I'm Dylan Black. You know, he's enjoyed an award-winning career. How about this? More than 30 years covering major stories in Canada and across the world. Now he has written a book. It's called Falling for London, a cautionary tale. Sean Mallen joins us right now on Daytime. Good to have you here, my friend.
Good to see you, Dylan.
Well, you know, 30 years in the business, and you've seen and done some things, and now you put it to paper, basically. You landed a dream job. That's what this is all about.
It is, because I had a great career at a global, covered stories coast to coast to coast, Ottawa, federal and provincial election campaigns, all kinds of amazing stories. But the great dream of my life was to work abroad as a foreign correspondent, a romantic job title, if you ever heard one. And my top choice was always London, because I'd fallen in love with London ever since I visited there back when I was a much younger gentleman, not long after I spent some time here in Ottawa working in radio. And I'd always had that dream, but the opportunities to be a foreign correspondent always seemed to pass me by, just elude me. And then suddenly in 2011, just when I thought was about to give up on the dream, the opportunity came open again. The Europe bureau chief job was vacant. I applied for it without much hope of actually getting it. And then the thunderbolt hits. March of 2011, the call came, so we're sending you to London, and we need you there in a couple of weeks because we needed to cover the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton. Okay, so that does sound amazing, but people don't see, they see what's in front of the camera, not behind the scenes. There were some complications. A lot of people would look at it and say, great, you get a chance to go to London, you get to fulfill your dream, you know, get in a taxi, hop on a plane, and have a great time. But I wasn't the only person affected by this job. There was my wife, Isabella, and our daughter, Julia, who was only 6 at the time, and they didn't want to go. In fact, they really, really didn't want to go, which is hard for some people to understand, particularly those who love London. But when you think about it, I was asking Isabella to give up a great job that she excelled at. She was producing a beautiful online design program. Asking Julia, who was only 6, to set aside her friends, go off to a place she'd never been to before. Isabella had never been there before. But to their great credit and to my great fortune, they agreed. And in fact, the germ of the book, the seed of the book, was planted on the very day that I was going over to London to take up my job. Taxis waiting out front. And as we were saying our goodbyes, Isabella handed me a journal and said, if you're going to put us through this, you'd better write a book. Which was, everything considered, was a pretty generous and wise offer. She knew that I'd aspired to write all my entire life. I mean, I'd written 2-minute news stories or 700-word newspaper articles, but never actually written a book. And she saw before I did that this was the best opportunity I'd ever have. So I filled that journal and a couple others with lots of adventures.
Okay, so how long were you over there?
Just 2 years. Just 2 years, but it was amazing how much we crammed into those 2 years, both on the professional side and the personal side. I mean, there were some, you know, London is the prototypical place that it's great to visit, but pretty challenging to live. I mean, the rents are incredible. It's hard to find a school for your daughter. We were very lucky with the school. They were incredibly kind and generous. We met a lot of people who were also expatriates, a lot of people who were, as they say, trailing spouses, which is what Isabella was, a breed of people that London probably has more than any other city on earth. And we formed this mutual support society that helped get us through it. I mean, for me, the work was the easy part. The stories were incredible. It was the royal wedding. It was the Olympics. It was the change of popes. It was Putin's election. It was South Africa, Paris, Rome, Athens. But for Isabella and Julia, the job was to try to build a new life from scratch, really. And, you know, we had a few laughs. We laugh about them now along the way, about the foibles of apartment life, flat life in London. The first main apartment we had, a lovely neighborhood called Belsize Park. Neighbors like Helena Bonham Carter and Gwyneth Paltrow, and not that we ever saw them either. But it's a beautiful kind of posh neighborhood, but also has behind those lovely facades some kind of dumpy flats, which is what we had. But it's still incredibly overpriced compared to what we had back home. And some stuff happened in that flat, which you'll have to read about. So let's put it this way: the falling part in the title is
some falling going
is a bit of a metaphor.
Okay, just about a minute left, but obviously 2 years, they must have been won over at some point, your family?
That is, without giving away too much, the arc of the story. I mean, first of all, the friendships that we developed, met some incredible people there in the expatriate community and the Londoners, helped make it a really rich personal experience, but we crammed in 10 years worth of European travel into the 2 years we were there. And of course, London is London. You know, sure, the rents are crazy and it can be a tough place to get around, but there's this energy on the streets. Every street corner has it. There is incredible art, culture. It's an inspiring place. Right. And yeah, by the end of it, we didn't want to come home.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad you did, because you've finished the book. It's published, it's out, and it's available. Hey, to SeanMallenCommunications.com. Sean Mallen, thank you very much.
I appreciate
your time, and congratulations on the brand new book. I'm Dylan Black. This is Rogers TV, Daytime Ottawa. We've got much more coming up in a moment. Stick around.